Hello, everybody, and this is going to be the new little thing that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and that is to turn in the USS Enterprise. No, not the real life one, the NCC-1701, normally known from Star Trek, the Enterprise, into a mech. Now, this is going to be an interesting because it took me ugh so many darn times figuring this blasted thing out, and I finally have it actually figured it out. So let's get right into it, eh? Now, what is so what you see right in your screen that I'm showing you is my version of it. Now, there are quite a few things that I do want to talk about. That being, how did I come to this point, my process of it, and just all the hardship that I went through for it. Originally, since I'm more well-versed in using Bionicle and Technic parts, I thought I would do that. That, unfortunately, didn't work out so well. And on the screen, which you will be seeing, that is so many different versions, me having the picture of the USS Enterprise in the background and showing that and trying to get that good design. I had so much of a hard time trying to figure out not just the torso, but the arms, the head, the engine, the warp core, the nacelles, everything. And originally, it was supposed to be able to transform. That was originally my intent. But as time went on, I felt less and less happy with what the outcome I was making. And soon I just didn't really do good for the arms like I did for the legs, and I just left it unfinished, which it really bummed me out, really, from making it. And so I just put it to the side. I was just like, I was just so darn tired from it. But then I was seeing like these mech robots from Mecha Break, Armored Core, and people building that sort of stuff, and especially a couple of people in the server that Discord server that I'm in, and I realized, wait, why am I so limiting myself to just Technic? I can do not just Technic, but also Lego blocks. And that's what I did. So unfortunately, you do see the legs here are a little different. So once I am going to update a ton of this to look a lot better and much longer for this, and a little bit more stability, because this, it feels weird to me. This was a half idea. But besides that, let's actually go to this. So, when I started to rebuild this, I tried to think, okay, what is the main parts of that Enterprise that are so commonly known and so iconic? And so I started with building the arms, making them beefy, the big, the bulkiness, things that make sense to not just the audience, but also to the person that is creating it, me. So I did that. I made them bulky. With the arms that you can see, I went for this as her phasers. Pretty simplistic design, but one that I am really in love with. Then these upper torso arms. These upper arms here are actually not my design. Originally, they're from a knockoff Lego set from a review that I will eventually do, and I'll have a little video of that, or even a picture of it on screen here, that will show you just what that looks like. But I basically recolored it and made it look much better and more in style with how I want this whole thing to look. Now came the torso. I started with the upper torso first because I felt like the saucer was the main part that needed to be done. And so, using some of these slopes, these brick round corners, to make the actual edges of it and look really clean, it started to come to shape. And I did the head, which you'll notice is quite small, but you have to think the head cannot be that big. And in reality, when you see it on these movies and TV shows, the bridge is not that ginormous. It is actually quite tiny and very small and minuscule. So I wanted to reflect that once this design came to play. Then came the lower torso. Now you'll notice that the lower torso, especially the waist bit here that I'm circling over here, is not my design. A lot of this I want to give credit to the people who did build this. So this design I got from ChubbyBots when he built the Saber Athena design. His Lego Saber Athena mech, which I think is a really, really cool design. And I'll show a little clip of it. And it's such a cool looking design and build that I eventually want to do someday, maybe of my own caliber. Now that those two were out of the way, it was then just left for the legs, which are a little bit easier to figure out. However, I wanted to go for something of a unique design. With these feet, I went for a more heel look, which not only will it give it actual stability, but also looks really cool and fits with the feminine design. The lower legs here do need a little bit of an update because I don't want them to look that weird, and I want them to look a little bit more of the bulky side on the longer side, much like the nacelles, or even like the main body part of the actual ship. Then we come up to the thighs. The thighs, unfortunately, I did half do, and I do want to attempt to get back to it in the future. But for now, I use the nacelles as these blades on the side, kind of like a little mini skirt of sorts. Now, there is something interesting. In a couple of the pictures that I'm showing, it shows this having a white design. However, I realized halfway into it that the design for white is a little harder to figure out and is way too blurring, especially in stud.io, the program that I'm using and showing you guys here, is harder to figure out what parts are which. So I went for more of this light bluish gray, and it actually fits a lot better because the Enterprise doesn't really look white in the films. It's much more of this metallic white, blue, gray. So, in that sense, I wanted to go with that. Now, you're wondering, well, which version of the Enterprise is this? Is this, like, first generation? Is this, like, the next generation or such? What is it? This is specifically supposed to invoke the J.J. Abrams, the Kelvin timeline, mainly the 3 Star Trek movies that had Chris Pine in it. I thought those were really good movies, and since I kind of grew up with those, I'm more feeling connected to those than the others, unfortunately. Sorry for anyone who is a Trekkie fan, but that's just my opinion on them. Anyway, there also were a couple of renders that I did with this, and yes, the actual thing has some good design. Now, is there anything that I would change about this? Like I said, the thighs bit will change to look a little bit more of an actual mech design and not feel half-baked, and actually feel much more designed while still keeping with a continuity and integral stability that I still want to continue with that kind of a story with this ship. And especially with this kind of ship, because I have a t-shirt of the Star Trek Enterprise, I still keep it to this day. And I wanted to make sure that this was faithfully done right and also done correctly. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you do and like this. If you want to see more, please leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you do. There will also be a couple more mech designs that I do want to show eventually one day. One being a Tron aesthetic themed design, which by far is the biggest that I have done. So I'm really excited to do a video on that. So keep a lookout on for that. And as I always say, stay alive and keep the fire alive, and I shall see you next time.